My leadership style would be entrepreneurial leadership. It allows employees to think as entrepreneurs themselves. We need employees to be kind of thinking of that way. We're building as we go, so we need them to kind of help build our processes. And then the processes that we do have, we want them to kind of see how we can refine that and always get better.
I would say, I don't think I necessarily have a particular leadership style in a traditional sense. I would say that what's effective kind of in our modern world is the ability for a leader to be flexible in their approach and to evaluate their situation in any situation as it comes their way.
Transformational leadership is at the core of my leadership philosophy. I believe that leaders must be innovators to embrace change, and we must empower our employees to think of challenges as opportunities and obstacles as stepping stones. At Florida Southern College, my team has the potential to shape the lives of thousands of students every single year, and they should understand and believe in that potential.
So I strive to be a transformational leader. I think that setting a clear and bold vision and then empowering members of your team to really chart out the path of how we get from where we are to where we want to go is the most effective, because it instills a sense of ownership and a sense of stewardship in the work that we do. And it also inspires people to be creative and take charge of the way in which the work is done, so that your fingerprints are actually on the solution at the end of the day.
Preferred leadership style is leading by example. It's hard to expect of others to do the same if you're not willing to do it yourself. So showing ownership goes a pretty long way.
My leadership style has always been a servant leader. And why I feel it's effective is a couple different things. It embodies trust and collaboration within a team. I really feel that it creates an inclusive and trustworthy work environment. If I can lead by example and support others in their personal and professional growth, I'll continue to serve as a leader.
I think my leadership style is I'm very much a people first type of leader. I think it's effective because I humanize people. I can't stand overgeneralizations, and I make it a point to get to know people and connect with people to learn about their differences and what makes them unique. And I think that reads true to a T, because I apply that to everybody who's been mentored by me, led by me, and things like that as well too, because I get to know people and their motivators, because everybody's motivated by something different, especially within work.
My leadership style is about collaboration. It's about listening to others' ideas, opinions. It's just always been a really, really great thing to just kind of listen to others in the room and be able to then make sure that they're empowered, heard, and to see some of their ideas come to fruition.
Challenge that I've found myself being faced with has been finding, call it time management, but more so creating that work-life circle and trying to find a way that best fits putting it all together. Because, again, at the end of the day, if you want to be happy at work, you need to be happy at home. If you want to be happy at home, you can't bring the stress of work home with you.
For me, this has been an opportunity to really reflect on the past year. And what I realized was, if I'm being honest with myself, I really didn't have a significant challenge. But when I have been there, I always went back to my priorities, and that's my faith, my family, and my friends. And then from there, I'm finding the people in my life who are going to come alongside me and get me through whatever it is I'm going through, because what I've learned is life is a team sport. You just can't get through it on your own.
Biggest challenge this year is really just finding balance in a high-paced environment, an ever-changing higher education landscape, and just my personal self-care and life. And so, it's really important for me, as I balanced all of those things, to not be afraid to ask for help.
So the biggest challenge in the last year of Gear Freight has been a changing legal and regulatory environment across the United States. To overcome it, we completely revamped our carrier compliance program and turned something that we had to do to be compliant into a selling point for our customers. And that has even turned us into being invited to speak at an industry conference in October on carrier compliance in our industry.
The biggest challenge was bringing people back into the office after working remotely for multiple years during COVID. We set up committees to ensure that folks or had an opportunity to plan and to pick what they wanted to do. We find when people are invested in the process and invested in their office, they're more likely to enjoy being there and enjoy working with folks. So it's been a great success.
My biggest joy has also been my biggest challenge, and that's in addition to taking on more professional responsibility, I am a mom. I became a mom. And there are 3 ways that I found to be helpful. First is boundary setting, so I stay laser focused at work. Second is outsourcing, so from meal prep to laundry delivery, I do what it takes to shave a few hours a week off my schedule. And last is incredible support. So I have an amazing husband who pushes me professionally, a caring nanny who watches for my daughter while I'm at work, and an incredible postpartum doula team, all of which helped me do all of the things.
I don't think we could have overestimated the amount of impact that we'd still be feeling from the COVID pandemic right now. We're an apprenticeship at its core, and that historically required us to be in person with our people. I've done 2 things really to really combat that and to attack that challenge. The first has been trial and error, really. We've tried a lot of things, we've experimented. And the second has just been to ask for advice. We've asked a lot of the younger people in our organization what's working well, what do they need, and respond to that feedback. But most importantly, we've asked the people close to us. My wife in particular has been a huge thought partner in overcoming that challenge.
So the biggest challenge this year was actually introducing our second child into our family and basically balancing that with the demanding job that I have in cybersecurity. And so a way that, I've overcome that has just really been intentional about time management and dedicating enough time for family just as much as my work is, both are very demanding and require a lot of attention.
So the best piece of advice that I've gotten, and I've got a lot of great advice from mentors and people that I look up to throughout my journey of starting this business. But one of the best things that I think have helped me in my career, when I was younger, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. And it's something that it's always been a challenge to do the simple things of learning how to read and write early on. But my persistence and hard work in getting through that has carried on into my career, where essentially no one can out-hustle me. Especially when doing a startup and doing it bootstrap the way we did. It was sheer persistence, determination, and just, that has led me to where I am today.
So the best advice I ever received really started when I was a young child. So my parents had me learn a quote from Tom Hopkins: "I'm not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed. And the number of times I succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times I can fail and keep trying." And what that taught me was essentially to never give up, to accomplish your goals. So the moment that the idea of quitting was eliminated from my vocabulary, from my mindset, I felt like there was really no ceiling, and that's something that I'd want my children to also learn at a young age. And I'm just very grateful that that wisdom was imparted in me at such a young age.
The best piece of advice I've ever received in my career is the answer is always yes. Whether it's an opportunity to help someone, an opportunity to support a cause, just say yes. Eventually you'll figure it out and the pieces will come together.
I think the best advice I've received is learning how to communicate with other people. Not everyone communicates the same way I do. And it's very important that as the person delivering a message and leading a team, that I need to work to how they receive that information. That's been really important in my career. It genuinely is about putting the team before myself, uniting the team, coaching with a shared vision, and over-communicating.
Early on in my career, I had a manager who used to say, "Done is better than perfect." And that's really stuck with me throughout my communications career. As communicators, we have a tendency to want to get to 100% perfect all of the time, but we're often fighting many fires at once. So I've taken that with me throughout my career and try to remind myself that 99% perfect is usually just as good as 100%, so I can move on to the next fire I have to fight.
Now I've received a lot of advice throughout my career, and the first one would be a lifelong learner. Don't be afraid to learn new skills, new abilities. It helps you be more adaptable to change, be more agile in your role and your responsibilities, no matter where you are. My second one would be to make sure that you're observant. Look at your audience when you're speaking, kind of gauge how they're reacting to what you're talking about, and be able to change your direction from there.
The best piece of advice I've received while growing my career is to be my true authentic self. The ability to think clearly and with confidence really stem from the people around me and my colleagues who supported this endeavor to minimize the outside noise and do my job the best of my ability.
The mentors I've had in my career have emphasized that professionalism demands courtesy. Maintaining professionalism, taking the high road in negotiations, whether it's with colleagues or adversaries, is really, really important. Helped me maintain my best balance in my career and get the best outcomes for my clients that are available.
So if I had to encapsulate it into a theme, it was, the vulnerability of yourself as a leadership versus the durability of your team. First major injury I ever suffered was a back injury at that age. So I was trying to map out what is it that I could do while I was recovering to help the team. And inevitably, with my anxiety running high, I sat the team down, I explained the situation, and the response was, we got you and we got this. I have the same mindset of culture and collaboration. But it also is just a good reminder that your team is everything. So the hardest lesson that I've learned professionally is learning when to recognize that things are outside of my control. So initially that was pretty stressful. However, I learned to grow from those situations and ultimately learned to adapt in different situations. I learned to focus my energy on things that I can influence and let go of the things that I cannot. So ultimately understanding the limits of my control.
Early on in my career, I was very eager to dig in and solve problems, and I became discouraged when I realized that I wasn't seeing the immediate results of my work. It was by taking the time to learn that you have to be strategic and be a thoughtful leader that you can affect meaningful change for family.
The hardest lesson I learned was the power of selfless service. I learned that when you focus on other people and purpose, and you put that above yourself, that ultimately you can accomplish far more and you're capable of far more than you could ever imagine.
I would say the hardest lesson I've probably had to learn professionally was to prioritize collaboration over perfection. I received some pretty tough feedback from a dear colleague of mine that I was acting maybe a little bit more like a client, a little less like a teammate, and great piece of candid feedback that I value so much and still use it today. Still use it for the projects I lead, still use it for the teammates that I manage, and so many more perspectives that truly blow us away, blow away the brands that we represent, and really works out for the best.
I've learned I don't need to do everything myself. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to seek assistance, and it's not a point of weakness. It's a point of strength to be able to ask others who have walked the same path or a similar path for help in avoiding the pitfalls and the challenges and overcoming the problems that come with building and growing and running a business.
So I wouldn't say it was one particular event, but it was more so earlier on in my career, I was very motivated to try and figure out every single piece of the puzzle, right? And that ends up putting you in a situation where you have analysis paralysis, if you will. Like you can't make a decision, you can't move forward. I've come to learn that the biggest thing you can do is put an emphasis on the variables you can control. Obviously, you got to keep an active pulse on the macroeconomic situation, but focus on what is within your control, and then you can really get your energy in the right direction.
The hardest lesson I learned is there's going to be times where your best is not good enough. And in my experience, that means bombing an executive presentation, even though I prepared immensely, wanting an opportunity, but not being the right fit for it at that moment. And also pursuing a goal with good intent, but not really having a solid plan.
People motivate me. My friends, my family, the greater community, and obviously those very unfortunate patients that have cancer. There's a saying that while talent is everywhere, opportunity is not. So I've always felt this deep sense of responsibility to be high performing, focus on my education, gain financial independence, and then give back to my community.
Success doesn't happen overnight. You don't win the lottery and you're not successful. It's hard work, dedication, and I'm 37 now, and we've got a retail division, a wholesale division, and a manufacturing division.
So solving problems day in and day out is what I love to do. And ultimately, if you're good at it, hard work, and you don't give up, you'll eventually find success.
So people I've worked with in the past, my teachers, mentors, everybody's ever told me that I'm very driven. And I think what really drives me is the need. I grew up in humble beginnings and I knew that there were people who were even worse. So I have kind of dedicated my career in helping those who are more marginalized elevate their circumstances to better situations.
So what motivates me and drives me to be successful as a CEO in the aerospace and defense industry is my passion for a vision, my immigrant background, and my faith. As my passion, I love what I do for a living, especially when it comes to engineering, and I love to create a vision with me and my team and put myself through college. I worked 3 jobs, and through that process, I learned the importance of hard work, resilience, and how it's important to understand the process of success, not necessarily how much money you have in your bank account, but what process you put yourself through.
I'm passionate about making things better, whether it's solving a problem, mentoring or supporting others, envisioning new ways to do something, or operationalizing a new idea. I am motivated by adding value and showing up for those in my life so that I can make a positive impact in the spaces that I inhabit. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And one of the lessons cancer taught me was to focus on what really matters and to let go of what doesn't. And as you might imagine, this experience both reinforced and focused my motivation to make an impact, as I've learned that every second counts.
I believe that success is not just about achieving personal goals, but about making a positive impact on the lives of others. I had a really direct view of how big of an impact having access to arts and culture has on a community. Whether we're talking about working on environmental conservation with our partners at Zoo Tampa, or bringing new exhibits to the Tampa Bay area, I'm focused on creating new opportunities for new audiences to continue experiencing excellent programming that I'm passionate about.
I think what motivates me is I do have certain goals. I've been blessed with like a wonderful set of people. I have my family, my friends, my colleagues, people who drive innovation, people who have achieved things in life, motivated me to have goals, have a vision for myself, and I think that is what drives me.
What motivates me and drives me to be successful is really watching the people around me be successful and really helping to take all of those folks that I work with, my kids, people in the community, and see them grow and succeed, and finding challenges on a daily basis